By the way, we're seeing a lot of symbols here. This is the Eastern Star.
Yeah, it's not just the men, it's the women.
Yeah, there's a women's group, and you see the satanic pentagram. The two points indicate the horns of the devil pointing upward there. Anytime you see a pentagon in the middle, that again is an occultic symbol, and it makes you think about the great war god Mars. It's one of the symbols of the war god Mars. And what is the Pentagon in Washington, D.C.? In the shape of, well, of course, a pentagon and the god of Mars, or the god of war, which is Mars. By the way, Laura Bush is not a UT graduate, but I just saw her there giving
the kids too.
yeah, the kids too. One of the daughters, of course, is a UT graduate, but the mother, well, no. And I've even seen the senior Barbara Bush, you know, the eminence lady. Seen her giving that sign as well.
Britney Spears giving the sign.
Yeah, now
we'll come back to her.
Okay, we'll come back to that. And notice that her, in this case, it's the satanic sign, but there's the thumb sticking out too. And many people say, oh, that's not the sign of Satan, then that's the deaf signing of I love you, but actually that's not always true.
Keller in occult also?
Helen Keller was one of the ones who helped to formulate and bring the American Society for the Deaf signs to the fore. But she was also an occultist. She was a theosophist, a Swedenborgian, and I believe that's the reason why that's signed. Does it mean I love you, or does it mean I love you, devil?
Yeah.
That's the question.
That is the question. Now, these people, they act as if they're here to help us, and they put themselves into placements to where they can pretend to help us.
Yeah, oh, well, yeah, here's the keeping the faith. That's an interesting. There's a communist fist. Keeping the faith and what? Communism, evidently, according to this Black Power salute type of a fist there, it seems.
Well, they give us their hand signs. You know, we're going to get into the peace sign in a minute. And they give it to us, and everybody thinks that, you know, they came up with it. All of a sudden, it's their sign of solidarity.
Yes,
But now
yes.
look at these few pictures here. When they...
Yeah, here we have John Kerry. He's, of course, giving the communist fist.
Yes.
And that's what that is. It is the communist fist of solidarity. And there's
Schwarzenegger.
good old Arnie. This one...
Bring this picture forward.
This one, it's not fully extended on either side, so it could just be
bring that forward.
A vigorous, energetic gesture of some
punch
kind.
That guy in the face.
Oh, is that right? I hadn't seen this picture before, Freeman. Now this is...
I mean, the president's going a little crazy these days. I've been hearing a lot of stories.
There are rumors that are actually pretty well substantiated that he may be on drugs again. I don't know. You know, there was a time that he had bruises all over his face, and they said he fell off a couch while he was sleeping. I've never had my face all bruised up falling off the couch.
I got a picture of that too.
You got a picture of that too? Okay, all right. But there may be something to that.
See, he doesn't quite have the fist right there, but I kind of figured that Colin's not entirely black.
Yeah, well, I see what you. Well, he is definitely a 33rd degree Mason. There's no doubt, and he's been at the Bohemian Grove in California. At their little teat-a-teat that's held annually.
Keep rolling there, Shaq. I just wanted to show you. He's not quite all brother. You know.
Here's an interesting Masonic sign. Several of the orders have this. It's an indication. It's pointing to the head, meaning the intellect. That they use reason. They use the intellect. Here's this must be Malcolm X, if I can remember right. And there he has on a Masonic ring, by the way. You can see, I believe, from here it's hard to see, but I believe in that picture there is the square and compass of the Masons. So he was not only a black Muslim, yeah, there it is, but he was a Mason. And there's the Prince Hall Masons, made up almost entirely of black people, black men, that is.
Right.
And here he's pointing to his head, and he's basically asserting that he is more intelligent and more all-knowing than the masses. And I would think that black people would be insulted. By the way, the X, of course, some people think it's from the Islamic faith or whatever, but of course X was one of the signs of Osiris, the Egyptian sun god. And the Islamic faith has many, many old vestiges of the old religions. Osiris, there we have the X again and various other symbols.
It has the It was in the placement of the hands.
The placement of the hands in the cross. By the way, in some Masonic orders, they have Masonic funerals, and they do the legs or the hands
right, I wasn't
of the
allowed
body. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then right before the casket is covered, they cross the hands, just as they did in the ancient death burial rites of the Egyptian mummies and so forth. So here again, they hearken all the way back to the ancient mystery religions. And yet many of these people have the gall to call themselves Christians. Now there's Stephen King doing the X. And
that last mummy actually was Ramses, who I believe is one of George Bush's descendants.
Oh, it could be.
According to David Icke.
Oh, really? David Icke. I didn't know about that.
That's one of George Bush's relatives right there.
Well, yeah.
According to David Icke. Yeah.
I thought you meant that the brain power was exactly the same at this moment in time. I didn't know what you were referring to. But we saw Stephen King there. Of course, he's the king of the horror genre, fiction. But isn't it interesting? This was from either Time or Newsweek magazine, one of them. But here's an enigmatic sign he's giving, a mysterious sign. There was no caption that explained it. This is, people don't just, you don't take a picture of them, they don't just cross their hands like this. This is very obviously a sign of the dead, yes, going all the way back to Egypt. And I think he identifies with the dead. Yeah. And maybe he's been given special powers by forces from beyond, in other words, demonic, to write his books and become famous and rich.
It seems that, I was watching Ocean's 12 the other day, and the guy in the movie is like, it's like this Kabbalism stuff doesn't even work.
Oh, yeah, they're sort of letting you know they're practicing Jewish Kabbalism. Jewish Kabbalism is a system of sorcery and medieval witchcraft that Albert Pike, in his Morals and Dogma, his former Sovereign Grand Commander, actually admitted was the very basis, the core, yes, of the Masonic rituals.
And then he called for the Holy Masonic Empire.
Yeah. That is the royal secret, he said, that we're going to set up an empire on Earth. Now we have the X-Files, but right before that, you had Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was given a speech, wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was an anomalous X that kept showing up over him.
Yeah, on CNN, and here he's giving a speech talking about trying to justify the Iraq War. This was just a week or two ago, and this X shows up. Well, does it mean he's going to be X'd out? Right. That would mean, you're going to be killed. Well, I hope that wasn't true. I hope nobody is planning such a dastardly thing. You and I would be opposed to that. Absolutely. Even though he's not a very nice man. But it's interesting that somebody, maybe knowingly, put that X there.
Yeah.
Maybe they were identifying him. And by the way, he absolutely, his own office admits that he is a 33rd degree Freemason.
But they know,
Yeah.
They know. Yeah. Go to the next shot here. That is Scully, Dana Scully's tattoo off the X-Files. That was the last image they showed in the last episode before they were off the air. Was Dana Scully's tattoo.
Here what we have is the serpent swallowing his tail. This is the royal secret now. Now this was another TV series called Millennium that was very popular right before the millennium, the year 2000, and that serpent biting its own tail is also found in the 33rd degree emblem of Freemasonry. It's found in Theosophy, which is an occult a system and group. But that serpent is very, very important. Here we have Lenin, and some artist in Russia portrayed him as, a saint, Saint George riding a white horse fighting the serpent. But in fact, he was in bed with the serpent, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
And Lenin was just a monster, and tens of millions of people were purged, sent to the Soviet gulags because of the horror, the Red Terror by Lenin, who again was a Mason, a bisexual, and much worse.